Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. After discussing citizen participation, let's now welcome Mr. Lewis Liu, founder and director of Crowdsense, an Action Fellow for our Future Ready Society program, to share a short presentation titled Research and Practice Insights 2, Bringing Everyone Along, Even Those Who Don't Get Along. Lewis, over to you.
Thank you. Hello. Hi, everybody. Hello, hi. There's a lot of friends and not family, friends and acquaintance here. Really good to see everybody. So once again, my name is Lewis. Hope you can settle down quickly. And I have 15 minutes, yes. I wanted to maybe start off with a story because when I was invited to share at this panel, I saw this tagline, this title about bring everyone along, even those who don't get along. That brought back memories. I have a lot of stories to share, but I just wanted to maybe share one story where this happened during the COVID period. And if you recall at that point of time, everybody was very anxious, right? And Grab food specifically, wasn't making a lot of friends. Because at that point of time, people were had to stay at home and they were desperately trying to get food delivered to them. And what I saw online, so one of my friends was actually a Grab food delivery rider, and she tried to share from her perspective how Grab had helped her to have a source of income and livelihood. And she shared it online as a personal post to give people a broader perspective. What caught my attention was that then the engagement or the discourse, public discourse on her social media page was really not great, where people would say, how could you say that Grab is good? You know, Grab is so evil. They take out 30% of the commission, etc., etc., etc. So they said a lot of things. And I found that to be quite sad and disappointing, because then my friend actually was very disturbed by it, because for her, she just wanted to share her own personal story. And in my mind, this was quite a safe story, right? It's nothing related to values, nothing that is too sensitive about political issues, but people who disagreed with her in a very, not very nice way. So to me, I thought this particular story about how we want to bring everybody along, even though we don't get along, I think it's a really, really very important skill set we need to have. And I just wanted to maybe go a little bit introduction of myself, and that as I was preparing this presentation and listening to the speakers before me, I realized that as of this year, I had a chance to work across all 3P plus sector. For the past 10 years, I have focused my expertise around futures thinking about the future, and also citizen engagement. And half my career was spent in the public service. And then I moved along the way. I was it's a non-profit in the sustainability space, and now also in the tech for good space. And I also had a chance to work in Grab, in government affairs, where I was on the other side of the house, right, representing a tech company trying to engage the government. And up to recently, I'm now an Action Fellow together with the academic. So I'm really excited to be here. And for me, I felt like I have transpassed through the different worlds. And I hope that I'm able to then understand the worldview, the mindsets, the language that each of these different sectors uses, and hopefully be a bridge across all these different entities. So that's a little bit about myself. And today, I'm going to spend the next 12 minutes-ish or so to talk a little bit about a project that we want to start. And it starts with this vision, where the core thing is that we want to grow a community of active citizens. So what I mean by that is that it is relatively easy for us to tell the government to spend more money to help the poor, for example. But for people who work in this space, we know that it's actually really quite a complex issue, right? It goes beyond just putting in money. It requires a whole of society approach. So what we really want to do is to grow a community of active citizens who are able to engage constructively and give constructive feedback to the government on policy issues. So that is one vision that we have. The other is to also try to then experiment on different methodologies and methods in terms of engaging the public and citizens, and at the same time identify what are the key success factors. So depending on your engagement outcome, what is the modes or modality, whether is it a citizens panel, whether is it a workshop, whether is it a survey, what works the best? And for example, how can we design in such a way that it's more inclusive, right? That we can have both folks who are maybe have a bit more time to invest in a 3-4 months process, but at the same time, how do we include people who maybe don't have as much time to come in to just be involved in a small little way, but also give their ideas and feedback around it. And thirdly, the vision that we have is really to empower both the citizens and the government to work together on specific policy issues. And I say both because on one hand, for the citizens, it's really about equipping them with the skills, mindset, and knowledge in terms of how policy making is, the complexity around it, the nuances around it. And at the same time, it is also for the government to also expand their worldview and mindset, to recognize that they don't have a monopoly over knowledge or expertise, and therefore to work together with citizens. I know that in the earlier panel, we spoke about, we heard from Reach, right? So the work that they do is awesome. They really try to go wide and deep in terms of engagement, but our aspiration is also to have a more citizen-led type of movement, right? Where it's not just the government leading the engagement process, but it's also for the citizens to also step up to then complement the efforts by the government. And why is this important? So I think I'm more or less preaching to the converted here. Many of us here because we believe that citizen engagement is very important, but maybe let me give you very specific examples around it. First one is the point about complexity issues, living in the VUCA world, etc. All of us have heard it, but the one example I want to give was around the migrant worker issues, specifically around dormitories. Again, if you go back to COVID, at a point of time, it was a very tense situation. A lot of things were happening. And many people were concerned, right, for our migrant workers, friends and brothers and sisters who are living in very tight situation. And again, for an outsider, we might think that actually it's quite easy, just build bigger dorms, build bigger dorms. But for people who work deeply in this issue, again, you recognize that it is a bit more complex than that. There's a whole range of stakeholders that you have to engage, whether is it the dormitory owners, whether is it the migrant workers themselves, the NGOs, members of the public, the business owners, other public agencies. So there are many people who have a part to play in this issue itself. At the same time, there are many knock-on effects to it, right? In terms of whether do we have sufficient land to build the dorms, where do we want to build it, how do we make sure that they are integrated properly into the community when they are built within the area itself. So very, very complex issue. Second is around encouraging buy-in for issues that has a huge impact on citizens' life. The one example I wanted to share is around the policy for called Prime Plus. So it's Prime Plus and Prime policies, right? So this is basically in terms of how you allocate public housing to everybody. So this was something that were many years in the making, and this year they also announced a major shift in policies, right? And essentially what this policy is to make sure that we are able to allocate the flats in a more fair and equitable way, right? And this, you can imagine, has a huge impact on citizens because more than 70% of Singaporeans live in HDB flats. And for my public servants friends, they would know that a huge effort was put into it. MND did a lot of engagement before the policy was even dreamt about, during the policy formulation process, and more importantly, even after the policy has came out, right? And this is really important because you want people to understand what exactly this policy is, and more importantly, for people to be aligned in terms of the values and beliefs in terms of why we are making such changes. So in this particular case, it's really about making sure that everybody has a home to stay and not just use it as a form of investment. The third point is around citizens demand it. And just a bit of nuance into it, I think the reality is that there are definitely people who want to be involved, right? They want to come for your citizens panel, they want to come on the weekend to sign up a focus group discussion. But the reality is also that there are other folks who want to see that the government is engaging. They don't have to be involved at all. I don't need to join the focus group, but I need to make sure that the government is engaging someone. So that's really, really important. And over here, I just want to share a quick story. I have another friend on Facebook. I have a lot of friends there on Facebook. And this interesting thing was that then he was commenting about a tree being uprooted near the streets at his place. And he was asking questions, right? Why are we doing this? Did they consider other options? And to me, I thought that was quite interesting in that if you think about it, just maybe even 10 years ago, 20 years ago, citizens tend to delegate the responsibility and the power to the government, right? We trust that they will do the right things, and therefore we don't question. Now, I think it's a little bit different, even for a simple thing like landscaping. I think people want to know whether have you considered all the options. They want to know not just your answer, but also your workings. They also want to be involved in the problem-solving process. So I think it's really quite different. And how do you want to do it? I think the benefit of working with academia is that we have the space and flexibility to really think a little bit longer term. So in this case, what we are thinking of doing is actually to focus on a 1 to 2 year project. And then at the same time, as with a lot of movement that we want to create, it's very important to have a core group of citizens to really journey with us. So we're looking for about 30 to 50 citizens that's able to invest their time and energy to come for multiple sessions. But at the same time, because we recognize that none of us have the luxury of time, some of us have babies, some of us have kids, some have kids, some have dogs, like myself. We don't have the time to invest. So we also want to design a process where people can come in and out, right? If you have just 10 minutes to fill a survey, that's perfectly fine. If you just have 20 minutes to talk to us as a coffee chat, that's perfectly fine too. So we also, besides having a core group of citizens, we also want to have a wider group of community to be involved. And the third point is equally important in that, at least as of now in the short to mid-term, government and government agencies will still have a lot of knowledge and expertise, right? Because they study the problem day in, day out. So they are the subject matter experts. So we minimally need them to be involved with us, to share with us the thinking behind it. Why is it so complex? Why is this not just about putting money in? So that's really, really important. But at the same time, of course, our aspiration is for them to work together with us as a partner. So what this means is that we are asking for help. I know in this room we also have the 3P+. So whether are you just as an individual who want to contribute in the project itself, please join us as a participant or as a facilitator, or you are part of an organization, whether are you in the charity space, the non-profit space, whether are you from a government agency. I know some of us are not the CEOs or permsecs of agencies, but I know that there are many passionate folks out there. So please come talk to us. We love to see how we can work together with you and make some change within the system and outside the system. So how to do this is, so I'm running out of time, but basically we are running a workshop to really brainstorm exactly what the specific policy issue we want to look at, the specific methods that we want to use. As of now, we are thinking of using an experimental approach where it's a blend of citizens panel, which you have just heard, but also deliberative polling. Similar-ish to OP in that the intent is to use some sort of polling or filtering mechanism to really bring in a diverse group of people, whether is it in terms of demographics or in terms of worldview. And then we'll feed them into a process where they get to deliberate certain policy issues. So for this, join us in this workshop where we will figure out what exactly the policy issue that is worth investing our time in. And then at the same time, we will share a little bit more about the methods that we want to use. So if you're curious about it, please sign up on the QR code there. And if you have any further questions, you can contact me over there. And the last bit of thing that I really want to share is really about, I think, all of us can really play a part in really making the change. I say this because having worked in different sectors, right, whether it's in the government, where it's a huge machinery and I'm just a staff within the organization, or working in a small non-profit where we feel that the ecosystem, the system is so big and I cannot make the change. And now, as running my own business, but I think the truth is that as we can find all like-minded individuals together, I do think that we can make a difference. It may not be an immediate difference in the next 3 months or so, but I think if we take a longer-term view, I think we can make a difference. With that, I come to the end of the segment. Thank you very much.